Welcome to the I Am One podcast, where we talk to perinatal mental health advocates, professionals, and educators supporting the mission of Postpartum Support International. We're not afraid to ask our guests about the hardest parts of pregnancy and postpartum because we know that PSI has tools and resources to help in every situation, and everyone should know about them.
Whether you are among the 1 in 5 moms, 1 in 10 dads, one of many trans or non-binary parents, or you're one professional or advocate committed to helping folks in need, you are also one of us.
I'm your host, Danny Giddens, and I am 1 in 5. I didn't know what to call what I was experiencing after becoming a parent and felt too scared at the time to speak up.
Not anymore. Now she won't stop talking about it. Hi, I'm your co-host, Emily Jankowski. I'm also 1 in 5, and I want you to know that mental health complications are common, but they aren't normal.
There's something powerful in knowing I am one of many. Whether you're already connected to the perinatal mental health world, looking for new ways to support parents and families, or just want to hang out with us in your earbuds, we are so glad that you tuned in.
Of course they want to hang out with us. We're lovely. Seriously, though, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this pod are the speaker's own. Tuning into this podcast is, spoiler alert, not a replacement for therapy, but PSI can help you find a therapist. We could also help you find a psychiatrist, a support group, or Waldo.
Emily, Waldo? Come on! We don't know where Waldo is.
Okay, fine. PSI Help Seekers can find peer support and resources in their area.
At PSI, we want you to know you are not alone, you are not to blame, and with help, you will be well. On today's episode, we're sitting down with KAITLYN GARDNER, a passionate perinatal mental health certified advocate, licensed professional counselor, PSI volunteer, and a founder of a nonprofit supporting parents in the perinatal period in her home state of Arkansas, just to name a few things. Today, we'll chat about receiving a cancer diagnosis during pregnancy, an unexpected hysterectomy at the age of 31, and the stigma associated with the prevention and treatment of HPV. We are so thankful for her willingness to speak so frankly on these topics because they deserve to be discussed. So without any further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this incredible episode with our friend KAITLYN. KAITLYN, welcome to the podcast studio. We are so excited to be recording with you today for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're lovely. I mean, goes without saying, we really enjoyed getting to know you over Zoom a couple of weeks ago. And number two, we are going to be talking about some experiences that we have never discussed on the podcast before. So we are so thankful that you are here with us today and willing to talk about these really important topics. So thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. I think that that's kind of what has really driven my professional trajectory, really, is just my own personal experience. Prior to my own personal experience, I wanted to work with women. And now having the experiences I've had, it's okay, there is so much more drive here. And especially living in Arkansas, it is so needed. Any maternal health in general, whether that is mental health, physical, all of it. We need the community and the support and the resources. So yeah, I'm excited too.
Amazing. I think that so many people that we've come in contact with, specifically in the perinatal mental health world, are driven by personal experiences. I wasn't even in the mental health field before becoming an advocate. It changes all of our lives.
And now we're in the sidecar of mental health, right? Neither of us are therapists, but we support the work that you guys get to do one-on-one behind closed doors and we get to do as advocates every day.
Yeah.
So
let's just jump right in. KAITLYN, can you give us all a little introduction to who you are?
Yeah. So I'm KAITLYN GARDNER. I grew up in Arkansas. I have never left. I've always lived here. So, I wear a lot of hats. So I am a licensed professional counselor. So I'm a mental health therapist. I'm certified in perinatal mental health through Postpartum Support International. And I contract for a group practice in my town that I live in, Fort Smith. I'm slowly building my solo private practice in a town about 40 minutes north of me. So about Fayetteville, or it's called Fayetteville. And then I recently founded a nonprofit called Arkansas Maternal Coalition, which is integrating in some mental health aspects, but it's more holistic. So we're not just focusing on the mental health aspect, but resources, community. We are utilizing a lot of expressive art, these things that how can we get a hold of people? And it's all virtual. So it's a virtual platform. And then any events that we do are donated spaces with people that we collaborate in the community.
Cool.
I have a question. What does one of these events look like? I'm picturing I don't know, a diaper drive, or is it that kind of thing where it's like community baby shower style, or?
So tonight we're actually doing an event. So Fort Smith has this free concert series, and we have a table in the kids zone. And so we've put together little free art kits. And in your art kit has all the instructions. It talks about our organization. And then it has a piece about, hey, here is how you can build attachment through this art activity with your child.
Oh, so smart.
And so those will be free. And then it also has a coupon for Crystal Bridges, one of the museums in Northwest Arkansas. That is more of us kind of like piggybacking off an event. And you want to talk about our organization. We're also going to have, so we have this whole project, #IHave2. So we're building a digital library of personal narratives for your experiences with fertility, infertility, all the things, motherhood, birth. And so a lot of that has been digital entries. And so we're going to have paper, just if you want to jot down some stuff and get it out there, that's great. And we'll take those. It's completely anonymous. So events like that where we can go and just meet people, pass out some free stuff. Hey, here's a great little attachment thing for you and your kids to do. We've also thought about working with a coffee shop this summer. We're going to do some pop-up events where it's like, hey, if you want to pop in and here's some canvases, here's some paints, we've got coffee, we've got pastries. If you want to just talk and build community, this is what we're doing. It's free to you.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it's just creating these spaces for people to express themselves. And that's one of the really cool parts of it. And then also here are some information packets that we have made. So it's just, it's getting people's buy-in without being you know what, you look depressed.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. This is low stakes. You're just I need something to do today, or I need to get out of the house.
Right.
And then suddenly you find yourself in a space where it's okay not to be okay.
Yes. Yes. And then nobody's going to hound you about it. Nobody's going to be, calling you or at your door why didn't you show up for this? And it's oh, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then also one thing that we're launching in the fall is we're going to have virtual support hours and groups. So if you, don't want to commit to a support group, cool. You don't have time for that. New moms don't have time for that. We're going to have tons of different options for if you want to pop in, talk to a social work intern. Do you need a resource? Do you just don't even know where to go? Do you even not even know what's going on? No commitment. Just go. So it's really fun. It's really exciting.
So cool.
And then my biggest accomplishment is I am also a mom. So yes, and I have a wonderful husband, but our daughter, she is the best thing in the whole entire world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right. So can you tell us a little bit about how this perinatal mental health situation, let's say, happened for you? I know that it's a little bit more nuanced than some of our other conversations have been. So take us back in time.
Oh,
We're going to time travel.
Yes.
How far back are we time traveling?
Oh, man. Okay. I think we actually have to travel back to, 2013? No, 2012.
Well, I better buckle up.
Yeah. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. So, yes, I would say my experiences are, there are a lot of things that people don't want to talk about, but are very, very real.
Yeah.
2012, 2013. I think I'm right at 21. Yeah, right at 21. Okay, I'm in college. I have what I thought was a faithful long-term boyfriend.
Oh, snap.
Yes. So I go and I get my first pap smear. Well, no, I take that back. I had one when I was 18, when I first went to college, got on birth control, all of that. And then 21 when you get your next one. And so I got it and came back abnormal, HPV.
Same.
Right? Talk to anybody? Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's like 1 in 4.
If not more now. And just, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And so.
And you're like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, And not only that, it was every precancerous strand.
Oh. Yeah, because there are different versions of this virus.
Yes.
There's like, and they numbered them, right? It's like 1, 2, whatever. And they've got ones that they know have been known to cause cancer, cervical cancer in women, penile cancer in men.
Anal, throat cancer, like all the, I mean, it's nuts.
Yes.
Right. And we just don't, until we start looking into it, we don't know. And so mine came back. It was like messenger RNA for E6, I don't know, something. Basically, I had HPV 14, 16, all the.
Yeah. Like a list.
Yeah. They were like, this is not good. And I'm going to my health provider at the University of Arkansas. And I'm like, I just want my birth control. And so I think I go back and they're like, oh, this is a problem. We need you to come back in 6 months. Sometimes this clears up. Sometimes women are, it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And they were like, your first one was good. So it's fine. And honestly, like it was not the provider. It was me. So I was like, I'm just going to ignore this. Literally, I didn't approach my boyfriend. Like, I didn't do anything. I would just acted like it didn't exist.
Oh, didn't even tell your partner at the time.
Oh, gosh, no.
Oh.
No, because the relationship was super abusive.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So I was like, can't even. And looking back, I'm like, whoa, I really was like blind.
Red flag.
So did you also feel free to not answer this. So were you like a little scared to say anything or just horrified or scared or all the things?
All the things. I was scared to say something. I was, I was worried what would happen. I definitely didn't want to tell my parents, or anything like that. So I was just like, in my mind, I was like, if I don't approach it, and they said I'd be fine when I come back, whatever. And so I was like, oh, then I'm fine. Okay. Well, I don't end up going back.
Oh.
And I think somehow, I don't even know how I ended up. I guess I must have gotten my birth control from like my PCP or something. And I just like, don't talk about this. Now we're at 2016. So I have
5 years. Wait. Oh, no, sorry. I'm not mathing correctly.
3 or 4.
3 or 4 years. Yeah. I just recently broke up with my ex-fiance, like all the things, like my life is all up in the air, but so wonderful all at the same time. And I'm like, okay, I need to get myself in order. Like I have got to take care of myself, all the things. So I find a new OB and they're like, hey, this is not good. I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, we're seeing some cervical dysplasia, but it's very low. So at that time, I think that they call it like CIN1 and it goes to 3 and then you have cancer and then it's invasive cancer. So
right.
I was like, okay. And they said, you know what? We'll do another one in 6 months. Just please come back, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I come back and they're like, we want to do a colposcopy. So they go in and they look at it, sometimes take a biopsy, whatever.
That hurts.
Yeah.
That's why I'm reacting like this. I was like, oh,
yeah. Yeah. And so I go back and I do that and they're like, yeah, we're going to set you up and we're going to do a leap or a cone biopsy or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, I chickened out and I didn't do anything. Again, I was like, this is going to be okay. Like, it's not a big deal. Then I meet my now husband. And a lot of this has to do with, I was so just not educated in the decisions that I was making.
That is by design in the world we live in.
My priorities were all out of whack and I had a corporate job and I was just out of this horrible relationship and I felt so free and like all this stuff. And I was like, it's going to be okay. I get married in the end of 2018 to my husband. And, I've been very open about like, I think it was the appointment, like right after I was like, I have to tell him about this. So we start talking. He was like, okay, yeah, he's a pharmacist. He was like, okay, let's just take care of this. And so I go to my OB, and this is like mid 2019. And she's like, okay, well, let's do the PAP. Okay, it comes back abnormal. She's like, okay, come back in 6 months. And I'm like, I've done this. And she's said, okay, but just do it, whatever. And I was like, okay, I come back. Well, it's spring of 2020.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang it.
And so I come back, and she's doing a colposcopy, and she's like, okay, I want to do a LEEP. Let's do a LEEP. Okay.
What's a LEEP?
So a LEEP is where they go in. I'm pretty sure this is what it is, but they like burn off, I believe, or freeze off the layer of your cervix. And so right now, all the abnormal cells were on my cervix, the outer layer.
It works for warts on fingers, feet, whatever. It's kind of similar.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And I had in 2019, I just graduated with my master's, and I was a licensed associate counselor. So I was under supervision. We have this scheduled, and COVID hits. I'm a baby therapist. They're like, you've got to pivot to telehealth. I am contracting with a school that is in Charleston, Arkansas. Less than 2,000 people. No one has internet. I'm going to people's homes.
Oh.
I was doing CPS work, all contracting for this. It was just a mess. And again, my priorities weren't straight. None of that.
Do you mean your priorities weren't straight in that you kind of were pushing off your health concerns to kind of the back burner and just trying to focus on doing the best job you could at work? Because like you said, you're like a baby therapist. You're like, just starting out, trying to do your best and focusing, putting all your energy into that and just going, I'll just deal with this other health stuff later.
Right. And so now we're at like 7 years with an infection with the virus. We got a ticking time bomb. And so, our world is insane at that point. And it was summer of 2021. My husband and I decided, okay, I'm coming up. Supervision is ending. I'm about to be fully licensed. We want to start trying to have a baby. December of 2021, we get pregnant. And I have a miscarriage. And that was kind of the first gut hit of, oh, this is not as easy as people made it out to be,
I think people think that it's pretty easy, right? Oh, we'll just start trying to have a baby now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's, you have these dreams and these hopes that, oh, I'll just get off birth control and it'll happen.
Yeah. We've got that timeline in our head, right?
Exactly.
As if we're in control of everything.
And I love control, and I love a timeline. Let me tell you.
Same.
Yes. And so, my plan just went out the window there. And that was really rough. That was, I will never forget just sitting in my bathtub and just this feeling on my shoulders of just ugh, just, oh my gosh, what is just heavy. And then we kind of decided, hey, we're going to take a break for a second. And, I wasn't tracking anything, and we get pregnant with my daughter in February. So 2 months later, and I was like, okay, we can't predict anything, whatever.
Foreshadowing, parenthood.
So, and then this is where everything just gets wonky. So, so I go to, routine care. We have our first ultrasound. We're so excited. We have a heartbeat. Wonderful. And then, you go and do your pap smear. My OB's like, oh,
whoa,
and I said, yeah, I know. And she goes, hey, it's not an excuse. It's an explanation. COVID was a lot, and we're going to figure this out. And I mean, my OB is she's amazing, just absolutely amazing. And I go and I do my pap, and of course it comes back. As we all know, it's abnormal, every precancer marker, all the things. So she said, okay, you can't get rid of me this time.
Oh,
right.
What a great doctor.
Yeah, she was like, I literally see you all the time.
Right.
We're taking care of this now.
This is it. We're doing it now. Did that feel like a relief? Or were you a little bit nervous, or were you like, okay, I guess?
I think it was a relief because I was like, okay, wonderful. And at that time, she said, if you're able to do a vaginal birth, that layer of the cervix kind of already sheds. And she was like, I've looked at the past. It was CIN1. Like, it takes a long time. Like, it may be the same. It may be worse. Like, we don't know yet. We're going to do a colposcopy. We're going to figure it out.
Right.
I was like, okay. And she said, you know what? We have options that we will do when we get to 6 weeks postpartum. We're good. I'm not freaking out. You shouldn't freak out. And I was like, cool. Sounds great. Mm-hmm. So you can't have a colposcopy till about 15, 16 weeks. So I go and I do it. And she's like, ooh.
Because it's risky, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will never forget. I walk into that room and I've done them before, right? Like, okay, understand, but never while I was pregnant. And so the nurses come up to me and they're like, hey, here are these forms. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. And I'm looking at it and it's like, oh, okay. So I'm like signing consent that like, I know that this is potentially very risky for my developing pregnancy, what we're about to do. I was like,
yes.
Okay, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I have to do it, right? Like at this point, I'm like, I'm almost 30. I've got to figure this out, and like she told me, I'm not getting rid of her. So we're doing it. And she's looking at it. She's like, this is not good. She's like, this is not good at all.
That's the sugar-coated version.
She's not a sugar coater. She's not.
She's like, well, we're in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you want me to tell you what she said. And
okay.
Yeah.
This is a family show. Just
yes,
kidding.
family show.
No, it's okay. Say what you want.
She was like, I'm putting it on the lab. We're sending it off, obviously. Like, I'm doing a biopsy. She found some sections of it. And she said, and she was like, and we're going to do this in 3 weeks again. And I was like,
ooh.
Okay. So I go back in 3 weeks. Okay. It is all the way to CIN3. So that is the highest level of cervical dysplasia. So the abnormal cell growth and changes in the cervical cells. And it's
before it's technically cancer.
Got it. And
okay.
So it's right there. And she's like, okay, I come back. I'm like 19 weeks. It's like right before my anatomy scan. And she says, I need you to go to this oncologist. And I was
like right now?
I was like, ma'am, what?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, yeah. And then she went all through it and she goes, but she said, hey, it's just CIN3. Here are our options still. Our plan is you're going to have a full-term birth.
Mm-hmm.
6 weeks after, we're going to do a LEEP or a cone biopsy, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling, and you are going to be okay. I want to refer you to an oncologist because I just want to make sure.
Right.
Super thorough.
Yes, like wonderful. I make the appointment and I get in like the next week and a half. And it's after like I go to the anatomy scan and I see my daughter and she's perfect, y'all. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything about this pregnancy was wonderful. I took care of my body. Like, she was just developing so wonderfully. And it was just, it was so weird of like how two things were going on at the same time.
Oh.
And
yeah.
So we're like, my husband and I are like on the high of this, right? Like, we're like, yeah, like this is wonderful. So go to the oncologist. He's like, oof. Yeah, this is rough, pretty much, all the technical terms, everything. And he said, but right now I agree with the plan. And the plan being, we're going to keep monitoring this very closely. And 6 weeks postpartum, we got to get in there and get all this out, And right then it was LEEP. It was like, okay, you're fine. And then we'll just keep going from there. And then I go to my next colposcopy.
Which was how many weeks later?
It was probably, I think I was week 24.
Okay.
That one didn't have any changes, but she was like, hey, we need to be talking about what it might look like if you don't go full term. And I was like, oh, okay. And she goes, I just want you to be prepared for that. No other context, no nothing. And I was like, okay. And so I call two of my best friends and I was like, hey, look, my parents don't know. My in-laws don't know at this point. Nobody knows. Nobody knows but me and my husband. And so I call my friends and I'm like, hey, we need to do a baby shower. We had it planned for like September. I was like, we need to do it sooner. Like, here's what's kind of going on. I'm going to be fine. But like, they just said, and they were like, cool. Gotcha. We had my baby shower at 28 weeks. Well, the Thursday before, and we played it up with, oh, KAITLYN just loves to be prepared and she just wants it to already be done and it's going to be too hot and blah, 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 like whatever. So my shower's on a Saturday and my appointment's like on a Thursday or something. So I go to my next colposcopy, 28 weeks. And she has a student with her and she's all up in there. And she's like, okay, I don't want to do this. She was like, but I'm going to have to take a couple biopsies. I need your verbal consent to do that. And I was like, okay, yeah. And she turns to her student and goes, she's really smart because she knows that a NICU baby is better than her dying. And I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, what? And she was like, just doing her thing in there. And I'm like, okay, wonderful. So this is the Thursday before the baby shower. Obviously, like I don't get any results back.
Yeah.
Had the baby shower, comes back, carcinoma of, the
cervix.
No. Yeah, but the epithelium layer of the cervix. So like it's contained. I think they call it like situ. So like in the original spot. So she is like, okay, we got to get a game plan. And I'm like, yay, wonderful. So fast forward to the next appointment. It's my, before that, I just blurted out everything to my mom. I was like, this is what's happening. And my mom is just, in tears. She's just like, you are my priority. And this was never supposed to be embarrassing and all these things. Like my mom was just so wonderful. She was, and she's a nurse practitioner and has a relationship with my OBGYN. And so it was something I never thought I would get that response, and not because of her, but just because like, I'm like, oh, nobody's going to be like, okay with this, because I neglected myself. I didn't take care of this. This, was HPV, like all of these things.
Yep. Like this happened because we had sex before we got married.
Exactly. And I live in Arkansas. Like I got married in the Baptist church. Like,
right.
So anyway, my mom was wonderful. We told, like some friends and then some, some other family members. And this kind of brings up one of the things that I feel like is so important, especially in my professional work, is that I understand why women suffer in silence. The responses that we received of what we were doing, how we were handling it, what we should do, were so polarizing. And a lot of it was absolutely, I would say all of it was all meant to be helpful and all meant to, like, we have so many people in our lives who are very driven. They're very like fix it mentality, get it. And at the same time, it was like, I can't handle anybody else talking to me about this. And I've got to keep going. I'm growing a child, like all these things. And then if you kind of like shut people out, then that causes conflict. And so it was really hard to navigate that. And yeah, I definitely see why people, especially women with postpartum depression, it's easier to suffer in silence so that you don't have all these other opinions coming at you. You don't have all these other just narratives about you or what you're doing and things like that. And it's just easier to put on the face and keep going and act like it's not happening, which really stinks. And then we push this whole thing about like owning your story. Well, what if you don't want to own your story until 5 years later? And that was like the thing with me. Like there are so many things that happened from that time period that I'm like, it's not that I am not over it or whatever, but it's like, I'm not ready. That's for me. That's for me and my husband. That's like things that happened, and not everything has to be shared. And but I do understand why people suffer in silence.
But like you had to kind of go around and tell friends and family that like there was a chance that you were going to have to deliver early because then you would need treatment.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm sure there was a lot of like, oh, but did you consider not delivering early? Did you consider delivering tomorrow? Did you consider snake oil or like jumping backwards 3 times or something? I don't know. Like, right.
Right. And then there was like, oh, well, what do we tell people? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you tell people? babies come early all the time. Like, I don't know what, like I guess just don't like.
Yeah. Not your information to tell.
Yeah. So it was just, and I think that I think a lot of that too is like people get really comfortable with you and then they start talking out loud and they're trying to process while you're trying to process. And then it's just so overwhelming, and good intentions, all the things, still, it's too much.
It was a lot of holding space for other people when really people should have been holding space for you.
Sure. Yes. And again, it was like, no, I personality wise, I fall into that anyway. And so it was kind of like, it's fine. But, and again, I don't think anybody's intentions were wrong there. It was a situation none of us expected to try to navigate, especially as a family, as a friend group, like all of the, yeah, like
totally.
Who would have thought? And so the next OB appointment, it's my mom, my husband.
The whole crew's there.
The whole crew's there. There's like 2 nurses, a student, like she's got all these people in there. We're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Right now, you're good. Like it's contained. We're going to keep monitoring it. You're fine. We are going to deliver 2 weeks early, and you're going to do an induction, and your baby is so healthy, so wonderful. She's going to be great. It's not a boy. We don't have to worry about lungs, all the things. And then, and then you're going to have a hysterectomy 6 weeks postpartum.
Oh, wow. Your doctor just announced that.
Yeah.
Like, this is the plan.
This is the plan.
There's no path forward.
No.
With your uterus staying inside your body.
Yeah.
How did that feel to hear that?
Well, I was like, oh, okay.
Also not my plan.
Also not my plan. And I thought about that too. I was like, and I ask people this all the time, like, what did you envision motherhood being when you were little? And I've been asked that too. And it's like, I thought I'd have a few kids, like I have 2 brothers, and like, I just thought I would have a couple. And like my husband and I talked about having kids, but we never like what that meant, whatever. And so I was like, oh, and then I think she could tell in my face. She was like, okay, but here are the other options you can have. She was like, you can turn around and do nothing. We can do a cone biopsy, get more information, because they had some, but they were like, we need the extent of it, all the things. And she said, and then I guess you can try to get pregnant right around, but she goes, we don't recommend that. She was like, the moment this becomes invasive, it is everywhere.
Gonna be everywhere.
It is in a position where, your bladder, your vagina, your anus, like she was like, it is going to go. It's done.
Like, this is what will happen next.
And you cannot have a hysterectomy at that point. You are doing radiation and you are doing chemo. And she was like, do you want to spend the early years of your daughter's life doing radiation and chemo? I was like, no, I'm good. Yeah, I was like, no, I'm good.
Because at that point, it was contained.
Yeah. And so like, I remember telling my mom, I was like, oh, so this is like legit cancer-ish. And my mom goes, no, this is like legit cancer. And I was like, yeah, but it's stage 0. Like I looked it up, and she goes,
no.
She was like, no. And so like, I really struggled with the validation, like,
oh, I have cancer?
Well, yeah. And like, but when I think that, I think of other people. And again, comparison's the thief of joy, of grief, of everything. And
yes,
in that, like, I don't have to do chemo. I don't have to do radiation. It's going to be solved. I'm going to be fine. And so it was like, we've got a plan, love a plan. So I get induced 38 weeks, have the most amazing labor, like, just wonderful. Like it was so fast, so quick. I rocked it.
Dang.
Yes. I was like,
that's awesome.
KAITLYN.
I just felt like on top of the world. I was like,
like a superhero.
Yes. I was like, I did this.
Yeah.
And then there was a little part of me, I was like, oh yeah, I can totally do this again. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can't do this again.
I'm going to ask a question that I know the answer to, but that I think is going to be a question that people listening might be wondering.
Okay.
So while you have cancer cells on your cervix and the baby is passing through the cervix, what, if anything, is different or a risk, not a risk, in a situation like that?
Yeah.
Like, what did they tell you?
They told me that I was absolutely fine because that nothing was going to be passed to her, anything like that. I think the issue, and I could be wrong, but we never got there, was if it had to be C-section. I think that was maybe, and I think even with that, but we never got to that kind of discussion. I mean, of course, there's always a chance for like emergency C-sections and things like that, but I like her positioning and all of that. It was just, it kind of at the end really just fell into place where like, you know, I went into my 36-week appointment. I was already dilating. I was like 98% effaced. Like I was ready.
Wow.
I like labored for like 3 hours. I pushed for 39 minutes.
Your body was like, let's do this.
Yeah, it was like, let's.
Emily, are you okay over there? For everybody's listening, Emily's looking a little bit
jealous.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, well, thank goodness I got like one, you know, I mean, a lot of it's positive, but you know, anyway, so I have Lillian. She's just perfect.
Oh.
And honestly, like best recovery ever. Like it was great. And,
yeah.
And then 3 days after I get home, I'm like, in my mind, I'm still, I think, delusional about what is going on. Because I think, so my doctor was switching hospitals and I was like, oh, she's going to forget about me. I was like, yeah, she's going to forget about this whole situation and then we're good. Like I'm that much delusional about what's happening.
Was it because you were sleep deprived or you were just hoping?
I don't know. And I mean, like I think it was like a mixture of everything. I was like hoping, I think I was hoping, I think I was still like super in denial. Totally. Everything happened so fast and I was like, it's fine. And again, like until like I later in this, like joined some like Facebook support groups and everything, I had no idea that people went through this. I'd never heard of anybody going through it this far. Like I'd heard of people having HPV, but not, until like I did my own research, I did some digging that I realized that this is more common. And so, yeah, I get home and like 3 days later, her new office is calling me like, hey, we need to schedule your pre-op and your surgery and we're going. And I'm like, she found me.
Crap. Should have changed my address or something.
Yeah. And so it was December 16th of 2022. So, 9 days before Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
My perfect and beautiful niece had just been born 10 days before. So there was like Lillian was born and then she got her best friend 3 weeks later or a month later. And it was so wonderful. And then my husband stayed with Lillian and my mom took me to the hospital and, had the surgery, like my OB did it. And so felt really comfortable with that. Everything went great. Pathology came back that it was still just the same. Yeah. So it was like, oh, okay. Like we're good. We're good. And it was truly like another Friday. Like really, like I went home, like again, recovery I was like, but it was fine. We didn't talk about it as a family.
Oh,
none of us talked about it.
Like, okay, well, that's behind us. Now let's just move on.
Yeah. It's like none of us. And that was a lot of me. Like, I was like, oh, this happened. And, like, okay. And thankfully, like prior to that, I think I did have a little lapse in delusion because I think like right before I was scheduled to deliver, I had emailed my previous therapist from my early 20s and was like, hey, I'm coming back, like I'm just going to set this up because I know things are going to go rocky. And she was like, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Had that on the books for January and get through the holidays. So start back working with her. I go back for my 6 weeks appointment. Everything's fine. Like all of it's great. It hit me about March that, oh my gosh, you are a cavity now. You don't have, it was like, you don't have like multiple parts. Like you not only don't have your cervix. I didn't have my tubes. I didn't have my uterus and my, cervix, but thank God I had my ovaries. Like that was, wonderful.
Right.
And, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it, and it was this really weird process of grief and gratitude mixed in and trying to navigate being a new mom. And I had gone back to work and I was working in private practice and I was really thriving at that. And it was just this, how do I navigate the sadness that I'm feeling? It was, probably about March of 2023 is when postpartum depression just hit me like a rock. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And for me, I just keep going. It's kind of like, again, I get it. It's easier for some of us to suffer in silence. Like if I keep going, if I can do the task, if I play the part, we're good. We're fine. It'll go away. And, there have been periods of my life where I've been able to do that. This was not one of those. This was never going away. The follow-up test that I had to do, I ended up doing genetic testing and all of these things. And then it was like every doctor's appointment, it was back to those feelings of, okay, what's going to happen when I go to this next appointment? What's, all of that.
Is there a shoe that's going to drop, that feeling?
Yeah. And so I really battled with attachment with my daughter, something that I love so, so much. And it was so hard for me. And I could play the part. If anybody saw us out, they're like, oh my gosh, they're so great together and everything. And in my mind, I was like, something's going to happen to me and she's not going to have a mom. I can't be her mom. It's just better for me to leave now, sort of thing. And so, so then that narrative, and then it just really, really, really snowballed from there. And this is another thing that I really, really try to stress to providers. If you have a woman who has had a history of depression or any feeling that they might need that, get them in with a therapist while they are pregnant. Because I don't know what in the world would have happened if I hadn't had the amazing team that I had.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you were really, really well supported.
Yeah. I had my OBGYN's number that I could text.
Wow.
Yeah. My mom's a nurse practitioner. My therapist is absolutely wonderful. But I had those relationships established prior. And I also see professionally, I'll get these women who have, it's their second birth. They had psychosis their first birth. And then they're coming to me postpartum second baby. And I'm like, hold on. Therapy's a relationship. We're in crisis now.
Mm-hmm.
How wonderful would it have been if the provider had been like, hey, and I get it. It's up to the client to do that. However, if we can get more people established and be more proactive rather than reactive, I think that's how we really take control over maternal mental health. We need to have relationships established. We don't need to be at ground zero postpartum.
Right. I mean, it's not like it'll stop people from getting depressed, but it doesn't have to be so bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, it's with my people that I see during pregnancy, I'm like, we have a plan. I know their support system. I know their signs and we're rocking and rolling. I have learned about them. I know their history. I know their humor. I can kind of pick up on stuff like that. If I need to check in on them, they don't think that that's weird, so. But when somebody comes to me and they're in crisis and then they're like, oh, I need therapy for postpartum depression. And then they give me this and I'm like, hold on, but I've got to know, I get to know you. And then they get frustrated with that. They're like, well, no, we need to do this. And I'm like, okay, but you also don't understand. I don't know anything about you. I can't just start doing this without knowing these things. And so there's that lag in care. We just have to be more proactive. And I'm thankful that I had that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you had reestablished a relationship with a therapist that you already knew before the wave of everything that had happened finally crashed on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It just all snowballed from there. And what we finally came to was, and this is one of those things, it's controversial, whatever, but, my family knows about it and everything. So I ended up the option that we came with, which I think is a very good option for women in postpartum. I know of a lot of providers now, and I've collaborated with them of like, hey, we don't know what to do, especially with somebody who has a stillbirth or something like that. This immediate, like, goes back to, they have no relationship with a therapist. They have no, what do we do? We can't just give them meds. Like, this is not okay. They need like immediate relief. We can't put them inpatient in Arkansas. There's no woman's unit for that unless you're going to Little Rock, and that could be hours away. There's a wait list. So I ended up doing IV ketamine treatment.
Yes.
And so that was over the course of, I think I did them 10 months postpartum. So I think it was like 2 sets of 3 sessions. So I would go like 1, 2, 3 days, and then I would have like a week, and then I go.
And that was to treat depression?
Yes. And suicidal ideation. So yeah, it was pretty intense. And all of it was, my thought process was, my body's not going to sustain a healthy living. This has already happened. I can't forever be Lillian's mom, David's wife, all these things. So I want the control. I never took control of it in the beginning. This is my way. And so that's kind of where all of that, it was very scary, everything, but that was an absolute life-saving treatment.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was incredible.
We're so glad that was helpful to you.
Yes.
During a very, very difficult time. Everybody needs something different. And some people do feel kind of odd talking about that, because it's like kind of is it newish?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I know that like, so I think the IV one is a little bit more newish, but like everything I did, like a psychiatrist did it, it was.
Yes. I mean, it's in a completely controlled environment. You have somebody there with you that's a medical professional. Yes.
Yes. And so it wasn't like a med spa or anything like that,
Right.
It wasn't some overwhelming experience. Like, it was truly, I prolonged like doing that. And I was like, no, let's try this.
Like, you tried other things first. You were just like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yes. I like switched my meds a bunch, and like,
So this was not like first line option.
No.
Okay.
I was so worried about like, oh, this is going to be so intense. Like, I'm going to freak out. And then like, it was, I don't want to say it was nothing, because it was obviously something. However, I remember doing it the first time, and I was like, why was I scared about that? Why was it,
To give yourself credit. I mean, I think it's probably in human nature to be scared before you do something for the first time.
Yeah.
We just had a teenager go for a job interview, very first one ever this week, who is very nervous, and then came home and was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've done that now. Okay. But it's scary the first time you do probably anything, just about anything, right? So anyway, so you were like less anxious about the whole process because you did it. And
and I did it, and it was wonderful. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't get out of it and like have this like life-changing, like on top of the world feeling. That would have scared me, scare anybody. I think that did not be the goal. What it does is it rapidly builds back those neural pathways that when we are depressed, shrink. It's just, we are accelerating what talk therapy does, what EMDR does, all of those things. And we're just doing it very rapidly. And so, I mean, it was like, I could put logic to thoughts again.
Oh, wow.
Of like, okay, hold on. I am trying to love this thing that is rapidly changing and growing. While I am not my best self, she does love me, all of these things. And it was like, okay, I need the logic to come back. And that was great. It was finally like, okay, the emotional and logic makes sense again. And it was just kind of like over the next few weeks, over the next couple months, it was just it slowly got better. I still saw my therapist. I got in with a really good PCP.
Yay.
I got some good meds. Like, it was, and again, like, I have the most supportive mother and husband. And so it was just, there were some really, really rocky times in there. And, I definitely caused a lot of hurt during that. And it sometimes is very sad to look back and be like, wow, I impacted a lot of people.
You were doing the best you can to get through a really difficult situation using whatever tools were at your disposal.
You were walking down a path you'd never been on before, and
Yeah. I'm very thankful like for the grace that I was, given and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Whew.
Long story longer.
Wow.
Don't let your HPV go 10 years without treatment.
Moral of the story. No.
Get a pap smear. It's like, no, but seriously.
During any of this, pregnancy, postpartum, did you know about PSI? How did PSI come on to your radar?
So it was prior to pregnancy.
Cool. I'm kind of like, oh, cool. Because not everybody knows about PSI or.
When I worked with DHS, which I know y'all probably call it Child Protective Services. So when I was working with them, I would do some contract work, and this was kind of what jump started what I wanted to do in private practice. I realized, oh my gosh, like these moms need help. Before I made the jump to private practice, I was like, okay, I want to focus on women. Like I'm not a mom yet, like, but women, my jam. Okay. Girl, all the things. And so I did a Google search. I was like, how do I specialize in this? And so I saw PSI.
PSI was like, well, so glad you asked.
Come on over.
Yes. I picked up the training and was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I think I like started it or signed up for it. And I was like starting private practice, and then I got pregnant, and then everything started happening. So it wasn't until spring of 2023, like in the beginning of the postpartum depression, where I was like, I'm finishing this.
I might do it.
Yeah. And so I finished it. I knew that I wanted to work with women, and that even before all of this happened. And so Google's your best friend and your worst enemy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question before we move on to the rest of the things. Is there a question that people ask you or a thing that people say if they know this story that you wish that they would not, or that you wish they would? Like, one of the thoughts I had as you were going through this is like, are you done having kids?
Yeah,
like you probably get that question a lot, right? Like, what public service announcement do we all need to know the next time we interact with you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would just say blanket for anybody. Stop asking any woman when she's going to have kids. Like if I have a new client in my office, I have found the best way around this. I'm like, hey, what's on the table for your family in the next 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
What does family planning look like for you and your husband? Or what does it look like for you and your wife? What does it look like for this? Like what?
It puts no expectation.
Like, do you want to have kids? Do you want to have more kids? Do you want no kids? Like, all answers to those questions are valid. It's just, we ask because we want to know.
And again, it's like people ask with the best intentions. And when we go somewhere, like if we're, if we go to the lake and there's like tons of different families, and they'll say, oh, she'll be such a great big sister. Like, just wait till you have another one. And we just kind of like,
stop that, people.
Yeah. We just kind of laugh and we're like, oh yeah, And
like it happened again.
Yes. And it's fine. And we brush that off, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll never see these people again. It's okay. They are projecting their wonderful experience on us. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think PSA for me would be like, stop telling me that there are other options.
Oh,
just stop.
That is a personal choice that is nobody else's business, right?
Yeah. Like, stop making comments that we can adopt or, whatever. Like, because I think Lillian was always meant to be an only child.
Oh,
she loves her things. She knows how to share, but she loves her things, and she loves her mommy and daddy, and she wants them all. She has her pets. We're good. And if our heart was calling us to build our family more, then yes, we would do that. But it's not. And I'm not going to give her a sibling because that's weird.
Because other people think that you should.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We don't need to be giving another human a human.
I think that's really important because, this is an important thing to talk about, though, because
such a good point.
One of our lovely friends, Jasmine, who is on another lovely podcast called Hailing the Tigress. She was a guest on our one of our episodes. She has an only child and, you know, along the same lines, you know, like felt like a lot of pressure, like thought she'd have more, but due to whatever, you know, her circumstances, you know, it was like, you know, we're not actually going to have another baby. And that's a lot to kind of process. And it's hard to hear people kind of put their opinions on what your family should look like and being okay with what your family looks like, which again is nobody else's business.
Right. Right.
You know? And I'm sure, like you said earlier, like a lot of people say things with good intention, but it can just really actually be kind of damaging and like hurtful and difficult to hear because it's not the first time you've heard it.
Right.
You are the recipient of the same types of comments over and over.
Yeah. And you know, it was one of those things that really contributed to the depression was like that this choice was taken from me. And like, there was also, you know, like a lot of, you know, well, you do have, you know, a lot of that narrative going around of like, well, there is choices in this. You are making the choice to have the hysterectomy. And it's like, what's my other choice? Be in treatment? I'm kind of backed into a corner here. Like, you know, I don't.
Right. The one thing that came to my mind as you were saying that is, okay, yes, like you could do treatment, but you don't know what your cervix would look like afterwards and whether it would fail on you.
Right. Yeah.
Trying to carry another pregnancy. And you don't know what your uterus would have looked like.
Right.
And whether it would have been able to sustain another, like there were so many other factors than just do I keep it or not?
Mm-hmm. Right. And then it's like, okay, who's to say I'm even going to be able to get pregnant again? Like, you know, and I have this wonderful baby here and this wonderful husband. I need to be alive for them.
And be able to be as present as sleep deprivation will allow, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for a lightning round?
Let's go.
Okay.
All right. What's your second favorite podcast? Because obviously we're the first.
Okay. I love anything true crime, but I've had it.
Oh.
I've had it.
You've never had this as a suggestion.
I love them. They're from Oklahoma.
I've had it. Okay.
Shout out, sponsor the nonprofit. Love it.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. Are you currently binge watching, reading, or listening to anything that we should binge watch, read, or listen to?
Like, do we need to add something to our Audible queue or Netflix or what?
I've gotten the best recommendations for shows this way, so I will always ask this question.
I ask my clients that all the time. Like when we're like scheduling the next one, I'm like, what are you reading? What are you doing? So my husband and I started Mayfair Witches or something.
Oh.
I know. Like it just let's start a new show. Right now I'm listening to The Midnight Library.
Ooh. Oh God, so good.
Yeah.
So good. Best parenting hack.
Oh my gosh, Emily, you're going very rapid fire. I
know.
I haven't even asked a question yet. This is very lightning-y.
So my daughter loves her little stuffed animals. So we have like the whole Sesame Street crew. We have the whole Disney crew. Best hack to get her on board of anything. Like, and especially like, so we're going through potty training right now. She'll go poop in her potty and she'll be with her dad and she'll bring it out to me and be like, oh my gosh, look at my poop. You know, like great. And then I'll be like, hey, Elmo, did you know that Lillian just went poop in the potty? And so go show Elmo or go show Cookie Monster. And she'll be like, oh, yeah. And she'll go show him. And it's like anything like that. Praise your children to their stuffed animals.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like bragging like about them when they can hear it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh,
are you asking the next one?
I mean, I don't know. Am I allowed to ask a question? I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
KAITLYN, what is one way that you'll show yourself some radical love today?
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I've got 30 more minutes till I've got to go do something. So I'm probably going to order some sushi with one of my admins.
Oh,
yes.
Dang it. Oh, that sounds really good.
Yes.
Sushi lover here, both of us. We're with you. Well, Emily, this is the one you like to ask.
Pre-recovery you?
Yeah.
Okay. What is one thing that today you, if you could jump into a time machine and go to that day in March when you were like, things have taken a turn.
Yeah.
What would you say to you on that day that you needed to hear the most?
Probably, and I would say this to anybody going through postpartum depression, in that there is no better mother for your child than you. Nobody can replace that. Nobody can.
I'm a golf clap that one. That one's real good.
Round of applause. KAITLYN, if folks would like to get a hold of you, is there a specific way that they can reach you or find you on the internet or otherwise?
If you want to be reached.
If you want to be reached. I mean, maybe you don't want to be reached.
So I think probably the easiest way, because I'm like, oh, I could shout out some email addresses, but if you just go to Arkansas Maternal Coalition.org and fill out the contact,
it comes to you.
Yep.
Cool.
Excellent. Okay, final question, because I struggle to stay hydrated. How do you take your water?
Okay.
Do you have an emotional support water bottle? Bubbles, no bubbles? Is there flavor?
I have about 7 Stanleys.
Oh! Hey, Stanley, sponsor us. Just kidding.
Yeah. Sponsor, please.
Hey.
Hello.
I have about 7 of those. If I am in Arkansas, I will no, let me take that back. If I am in Fort Smith, Arkansas, I will drink the water. If I'm anywhere else, I'm not drinking your water. I want it from a bottle, but I don't care what bottle. I just need it to be flat. And in my Stanley, the ice cubes come up this far till it goes out. Water and either Crystal Light or a sugar-free lemonade packet.
Oh, dang.
The ones from Target are delicious.
And if you don't live in Fort Worth, don't even think about
Oh my God.
giving tap water to you.
Let me tell you, Texas water, like when I go to Dallas to visit my friends, I'm like, this is disgusting.
Oh,
What about well water from other places?
look at Caitlin's face. She is appalled. KAITLYN froze for a second. She was like, excuse me?
She's like, hard pass. No, thank you.
If your water tastes like dirt, it's not happening.
I also wanted to give a big shout out to something that we forgot to mention earlier in the episode. Shout out to KAITLYN for all of the incredible support that she is giving to PSI Arkansas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we got so into this. One of the questions that we normally ask is, how are you?
Like, what are you doing today?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're doing a lot to support folks in the perinatal period. So, like, again, another round of applause. And on top of that, you're also, volunteering your time on the PSI Arkansas board. So thank you so much for all of that.
Yes.
Emily, would you like to take us out?
Absolutely.
Great.
Okay. KAITLYN, I am so glad that you came to share this story because it resonates for me personally as someone who also got HPV in college. It is more common than a postpartum mental health complication. It is more common than, like preeclampsia. It's more common than a whole host of other things.
Right.
And not many of us, at least of our generation, were even told that this was a thing that could happen and that it could turn into cancer. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing your story, because I think there are a lot of us out there listening who are going to go same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks so much for being here, KAITLYN.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the I Am One podcast. Check out today's show notes where we'll drop links to all the important things that we mentioned in this episode. Please consider sharing about I Am One on social media and following and rating our show wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. It only takes a minute of your time and, well, that'll help our collective mission of bringing resources and local support to folks worldwide. From everyone here at PSI, thanks again for listening.